This is one doctor I would not be in a rush to see, even if my life depended on it. Hey up everyone and welcome to Political Nerds. I'm Steph the Alter Nerd, your nerdy political guide from Washington DC to Westminster and beyond. In today's video, I'm going to discuss how a doctor who is trans has essentially said in court that there is no biological medical definition of a man or a woman. Now, would you want to see a doctor that does not believe in medical science? I know I wouldn't. Now, do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and as a disclaimer, I am not inciting hatred to anyone or a particular group, religion, etc. Be who you want to be. Identify how you want to identify as. Just don't at the same time take away our rights as female-born people. So, let's jump into it with this. This video is not clickbait whatsoever. Your eyes are not deceiving you. Trans doctor Beth Upton biologically denying evidence in court, which has actually led a flurry of complaints to the medical watchdog, which could actually take Dr. Upton's license away to actually practice. I don't know about you guys, but a doctor that, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't believe in medical science shouldn't have a license in the first place. I'm just going to throw that out there. Now, the reason why this trans doctor is in court in the first place is all because of this nurse called Sandy Peggy. And Sandy Peggy has described her distress at being forced to change in front of this trans doctor who has insistently repeated that he's female. This is despite having male genitalia and not actually having a gender reform recognition certificate, which would legally in Scotland change a person's gender. So legally and biologically, this doctor is male. And you have this female nurse here, Sandy Peggy, describing her distress at being forced to change in front of this doctor who, again, has male genitalia and doesn't even have a gender reform recognition certificate. I definitely would be distressed in her position, wouldn't you guys be? I'm on record to say at the end of the day, I do not want to be in a changing room or a locker room where there is a trans person there that was originally born as male. I would be highly uncomfortable as a female-born person to be around them in a female locker room, a female changing room. It's as simple as that. And a lot of females are saying exactly the same thing. They would be distressed too. Now, this is the thing, regardless of having the male genitalia and not having this certificate, he was allowed to still use the female changing rooms at Victoria Hospital by the higher-ups, giving him permission to do so. Now, Dr. Upton, the trans doctor, has given 2 days of evidence this week. Ms. Peggy, the nurse, filed a complaint of sexual harassment or harassment related to a protected belief under Section 26 of the Equality Act 2010 regarding 3 incidents when they shared a changing room: indirect harassment, victimization and whistleblowing. Now, that came after she was suspended in January 2024, last year, following the trans doctor, Dr. Upton, making an allegation of bullying and harassment. It's a freaking joke. How about also trying to protect us, the female-born women that have severe reservations and are scared of these scenarios? They don't want to be put in these scenarios in the first place. We don't want to be forced into these scenarios. But they're trying to force us into that. That's not good. And so on Monday, Dr. Upton, in court, has denied the medical definition of biological sex, saying that there's no defined and agreed meaning in science. He told the Tribunal, quote, biological sex is a nebulous term and it doesn't really mean anything because nobody can accurately or usefully define biological sex because pretty much every human I'm aware of is at least in part biological and many of them have a sex characteristic. I'm quite aware of the impacts and implications of somebody's biological makeup, and as a trans person, I'm quite aware of the implications of someone's biological makeup. There are very few people who don't think understanding some aspect of somebody's biology is important in some situation. But there's no agreed definition of biological sex. It's a nebulous dog whistle. So here, okay, you've got this trans doctor that's trying to turn around and say that if we cry out to defend ourselves, that there is biological sex, that you're either born man or woman biologically, right? Now we, right, are being accused of a dog whistle, of dog whistling. You see how they're trying to weaponize it against us when we try to counter with medical science, medical facts. You are either born male or female, biologically. That is science, that's a medical fact. But this trans doctor is now trying to turn it around and say, essentially, that if we point this out, then it's the equivalent of a dog whistle. I was born female. I have female genitalia and a female body. That is biology. That is science. That is fact. Me saying that is not the equivalent of a freaking dog whistle. Oh, but don't believe me. Oh, no, believe me. I Googled it. What's the medical definition of biological sex? Here you go. It refers to biological differences between males and females, e.g. gonads, sexual organs, chromosomes, hormones. Sex is usually assigned at birth. There are examples when it's assigned later, when sex characteristics do not clearly indicate the sex of the baby. So, for example, in the case of intersex people, fair play. For this trans doctor to turn round and say, yeah, there's no real solid medical definition of biological sex, is absolute BS. And for him then to turn around and say that anyone that makes that argument is basically the equivalent of dog whistling, he can go freaking do one. He's trying to take the argument away from us. I don't think so. Not a chance. Now again, be who you want to be. Identify how you want to identify as. That is your freedom to do that. But at the same time, then don't take that freedom away from us of being biologically female and try to take that away from us. Why? Why? And shouldn't it be that as female-born people, if we turn around and we say we are not comfortable for a trans person to be in our locker rooms, to be in our changing rooms, shouldn't that override anything that the trans person desires or wants in terms of access to our locker rooms, our changing rooms? Shouldn't it? I'm just asking for a friend here. Now, at the end of the day, do you know what? Again, be who you want to be. Identify how you want to identify as. Why don't establishments set up a third changing rooms, a third locker room to cater for the trans community? Similar kind of idea for toilets. A toilet specifically for the trans community. Why don't we do that? Why do they insist in having to invade female-only areas? where a lot of us are uncomfortable in that happening in the first place. What? We have to be uncomfortable and fearful to appease someone else? No. We need to stand up. We have rights too. Trans people have rights, of course, but we have rights too. And that seems to be lost in this whole conversation here. And so J.K. Rowling, she has waded into all of this and she's made many Twitter posts. This is one that stands out though, saying, look, of course trans rights are human rights, but when they're pursued at the expense of women's rights, then they can become diktats to be wielded against working class women who have neither the power nor the material resources to resist. I couldn't have said it better myself. But going around full circle here, this trans doctor denying that there's even a medical definition of biological sex. This is definitely one doctor I would not be in a rush to see, even if my life freaking depended on it. And as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, we've got doctors in the UK, like this one, who's denying that there's a medical definition of biological sex. They shouldn't even have a license to practice. They really, really shouldn't, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. Fire them all. Goodbye. With that being said, if you appreciated this video and you want more, and believe me, of course, there's going to be more, you do not want to miss my next video, then make sure you subscribe to join our Alter Nerd tribe here at Political Nerds. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatevers. What do you think to this? I mean, do you think this doctor should still have their license, even though they're denying that there's even a medical definition of biological sex? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.